Chapter 1.
Chapter 1. Sam and I've actually, my notes, I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see these, but I've got a timeline starting from when we were 6 years old, going down with stories in between. So I'm going to just start when we were 6 years old. We both lived on Denver. I don't know the streets in between, but there was one street in between us, and he lived on the far corner and I lived on the far corner, and we would meet at the middle and talk from across the street about the days when we'd be old enough to cross the street and become friends at some point. Those are good days. Eventually we did cross that street. I think our parents drove us and whatnot. But I remember when you're 6, you begin going to school generally. I attended Grandview Elementary. I was a real schooler, and he was a homeschooler. We argued for hours about who was actually smarter, and I just was convinced that people who went to school were actually smarter than people stay at home. He told me, I can't believe I still remember this today. We argued forever about, he told me that his mom told him that ice or water freezes, hot water freezes faster than cold water. And I just told him that he was wrong because I went to kindergarten and I knew that was wrong. I don't know if that's, he still thinks it's true. And I don't know if it is or not. It's true. Everyone keeps telling me it's true. Everyone. I went to school. Our parents, Mr. McVeigh and Dad they were actually, that was back in the days when they were going to church at the middle school. The first time. After church, they would all play basketball when they were young, basketball at the middle school courts, and me and Samuel were young. We'd run up and down the courts, and when the ball would go out of bounds, we'd chase it and dream of the days we'd get to play with our dads playing basketball, and he would say, "I'm going to go get the ball when it goes out of balance." I said, "No, it's out of bounds." He was convinced, and we argued, and he still thinks it's out of balance today, after years of basketball. I don't know, that may not be true, details, but 7 years old, we got baptized together by Mr. McVeigh. Stephen was there too, he had to go to the kiddie pool. But me and Samuel were in the big pool together, and we got baptized together. It is so wild. I do not remember a time before Samuel was in my life. I don't remember when we met. I think we were even too young to remember that. But he's just always been there. And it's just so crazy how many things we think back, how many things we've done together. But if it sounds like I'm wrapping up, don't worry. I've got plenty more. We're almost 7 years old. I'm 21 now. So just hold on. 8 years old, he moves to Derby. You guys think I'm kidding. He moves to Derby, and a lot of friendships when they're 8 years old, they're not that solid. There's not a lot of basis for an 8-year-old friendship, but their parents moved to Derby, and our parents were here. We stayed in El Dorado. I kept going to school. He kept not going to school. And it was probably once a year, the Crewells would go to the McVeighs, and the McVeighs would come to the Crewells. It's twice a year. And I remember just vividly, there was a time that the McVeighs came from Derby, and we talked. I mean, I hear Eli and Silas asking questions, just pestering Mom about things. I heard the McVeighs were coming a week in advance, and I'm just, are they coming today? Are they coming today? Are they coming today? And I'm just like, shut up! And then finally today came, and we're waiting at the door. The McVeighs are coming, and their van pulls open, and just this flood rips out of the van. People's clawing on. Crewells are at the front door, ripping open the door, and we're just running. And me and Samuel are at eye contact. Stephen, Toby, Jesse, Adam, it's incredible. I mean, and then like simultaneously, just collisions of love and embrace. 8-year-old embrace. It was, I mean, there were 6 and then 4, but it was incredible. When we played hockey and then fight about school and all the things that we fought about. But those moments were moments to be remembered. He moved to the country when he moved to Derby, and I was city grown. And I remember how cool he was. He would tell me how cool he was because he could pee outside. And we'd always had a relationship that had I mean, we fought a lot, but one thing we never fought about was peeing. We loved to pee in the same toilet. We loved to pee in the shower. We were young. This was back when we were 6, not 8-year-olds, 6-year-olds. It's more acceptable when you're 6. It's more acceptable when you're 6. Samuel, I revered Samuel for this.
Oh
no! Samuel had a flow that was unmatched by anyone. He told me, and I don't know if I ever witnessed this, but Stephen is testimony. Samuel said that he could pee an 8-foot rainbow wild rock arc, and then he would have Stephen run underneath it, back and forth. And it was incredible. It really is true. It really is true. And I was from the city, and I just couldn't. I was like, I didn't have the flow. First of all, I mean, Toby would have had to crawl. I so wanted that country experience. Chapter 2.